They said debts die with the dead. They lied. When Ha-rin's father collapsed under the weight of what he owed the Guryong Black Lanterns, a shadow crew whispered about in back alley bars from Busan's docks to a nameless hillside in Gyeonggi, his ledger didn't close. It shifted onto her. With a mother too sick to stand and no siblings to shield her, Ha-rin became the debt, a breathing IOU hunted in broad daylight. Desperate to keep her family alive, she clung to the one escape offered, Jun-suk, a man who called protection love and wore cruelty like a cologne. To him, Ha-rin wasn't a partner. She was property. So she ran, not far, just quiet. A cheaper room, a name that didn't echo, and any work that kept her invisible, wiping tables, counting coins, washing cups until her fingers pruned. And there, in the hush of a riverside cafe, she met Min-jae, the man whose silence felt like safety, and whose truth would one day shake the city. Settle in, breathe deep, and enjoy the full story. If this grips you already, like, share, and subscribe for more unforgettable stories.
After her parents' demise, Ha-rin didn't fall in love easily, and after her last relationship, full of controlling rules and emotional bruises, she promised herself one thing: no more complicated men. So she moved into a cheaper apartment on the quieter side of Seoul, took a job at a small riverside cafe, and learned to enjoy silence again. The cafe wasn't luxurious, but it had warm light, old wooden counters, and a kitchen that always smelled like vanilla and fresh bread. But what made Ha-rin's mornings bearable was the dishwasher who worked at the back. His name was Min-jae. He wasn't particularly loud or charismatic. He didn't flirt or show off. He simply existed in this calm, steady way, as if he'd mastered the art of disappearing into routine. Yet he noticed things. The day she burnt her finger, he silently placed a cold towel in her hand. When she came to work with swollen eyes after a difficult night, he pretended not to notice her tears, but set a warm drink beside her during break. He talked very little, but when he did, his voice was soothing, gentle in a way that made her chest loosen. The staff often joked he was too calm to be real, but Ha-rin liked that about him. After years of chaos, calmness felt like a luxury. Several months later, their connection started with small moments. One night, the cafe closed late due to inventory work. Rain poured heavily outside, blurring the street. Ha-rin stood at the entrance, groaning when she remembered her umbrella was at home. Min-jae appeared beside her, holding his. "I'll walk you," he said softly. They walked slowly through the rain-soaked streets, sharing one umbrella, shoulders accidentally brushing, the air thick with unspoken warmth. Ha-rin's heart, which had built walls for years, softened in the quiet rhythm of their steps. The next day, he showed up with a small umbrella keychain. "For emergencies," he said. She smiled for the first time in a long time. Weeks passed, and the cafe became their shared universe. The others noticed. Min-jae always took over the heavy tasks when Ha-rin struggled. He always brought her an extra croissant. He remembered how she liked her coffee. He stood beside her whenever her ex's friends came around looking for gossip, but he never crossed the line, never forced conversation, never made her uncomfortable. Safe, reliable, soft, exactly what she wanted. So when he finally asked her out, voice trembling slightly as they stood outside after closing, Ha-rin said yes without hesitation. Their first date was simple. A street food stall, warm, and a nighttime view of the river. No fancy restaurants, no loud music, just two people learning each other's smiles. Min-jae listened more than he talked. And when he did talk, it was thoughtful, attentive, like each word was chosen carefully. Ha-rin found herself opening up, slowly but naturally. At one point she asked about his past. He hesitated, just for a beat, before smiling faintly. "Not much to tell. I like quiet work, quiet life, quiet people." She believed him. Why wouldn't she? Everything about him screamed simplicity. Their relationship deepened without fireworks, just warm, steady growth. He wasn't perfect, but he was consistent. He didn't buy expensive gifts, but he showed up when it mattered. He didn't shower her with dramatic words, but his actions spoke louder. He treated her like she was worthy of gentle things. And that was enough. But something about him remained mysterious. He had no social media. He never talked about his family. He never mentioned old friends. And whenever his phone buzzed, he excused himself, with an expression she couldn't quite read. Still, he always returned to her with the same soft smile. She pushed the doubts away. Everyone had their pitfalls and calm moments. 6 months later, he proposed. Not in a grand romantic gesture, just the two of them, standing on a quiet bridge overlooking the water, the city glowing behind them. He held a simple silver ring. Ha-rin, I don't have much to offer, but everything I am, I want to give to you. Her heart clenched. After years of emotional storms, this gentle, uncomplicated man felt like the safest place she'd ever known. She whispered yes. He exhaled with relief, as if he'd been holding that breath for years. Their wedding was small but beautiful, just a few coworkers, some neighbors, and a homemade meal prepared by Min-jae himself. As he placed the ring on her finger, Ha-rin felt like she had finally won the quiet life she had long chased. No drama, no danger, no heartbreak, just soft love. Their first weeks of marriage were peaceful. Min-jae cooked, cleaned, kissed her forehead, and held her at night like she meant something precious to him. Ha-rin would wake up some mornings thinking, how did someone this gentle find me? But then slowly, little cracks appeared. Harmless things, at least at first. He would disappear for hours at night, saying he had odd jobs. He returned with bruises he claimed came from lifting heavy boxes. He received calls he refused to answer in her presence. He reacted sharply, too sharply, whenever she mentioned her ex threatening her. A strange tension lingered around him, like a secret he carried in his pocket. But each time she grew worried, he soothed her with warmth, with kisses, with the version of himself she'd fallen in love with. Ha-rin convinced herself it was nothing. Everyone had complicated corners in their life, and Min-jae was too gentle to ever be dangerous. She didn't know she was living with a man who had built his entire existence on hiding the truth. She didn't know the calmness she loved was the mask of the most feared mafia leader in the entire city. She didn't know her peaceful life was about to shatter. For now, she only knew the quiet love. The storm was waiting, watching, approaching. Married life remained peaceful on the surface, but Ha-rin soon began to notice something she couldn't explain. Her husband moved through the world with gentleness, yes, but also with a type of alertness she had never paid attention to. He always walked on the outside of the sidewalk, always subtly placed himself between her and strangers, always scanned a room before sitting. Not paranoia. Not fear. Awareness. Too much awareness for a dishwasher. The first real crack appeared one Sunday morning. Ha-rin woke to find Min-jae sitting at the edge of the bed, fully dressed, staring at the floor with a look she'd never seen before. Tense, focused, his jaw tight. She touched his back. Are you okay? He blinked, softened instantly, and smiled like he'd been caught off guard. I'm fine. I just have something to take care of today. Work? Something like that. He kissed her forehead, grabbed his jacket, and left. But Ha-rin didn't miss the detail he failed to hide. His jacket wasn't his usual simple one. It was a tailored, expensive piece she'd never seen before, and he moved differently when he wore it, straighter, more commanding, like he was stepping back into a version of himself he didn't want her to meet. She didn't ask, but the question grew roots in her mind. The second crack was even stranger. Twice that week she noticed a car parked on their street. Not unusual in Seoul, but this one felt wrong. Blacked out windows, engine quiet, same car, same place, different days. She saw it once in the morning, again at night. Then a third time, directly across their building. She mentioned it casually while setting the dinner table. That black car was outside again today. Min-jae froze mid-step, subtle but unmistakable. What car? She described it. He didn't speak for a few seconds. Then he kissed her cheek and said, I'll look into it. But he didn't sound like a curious husband. He sounded like a man already knowing the answer. And not liking it. The third crack came in the form of an envelope. She found it accidentally while organizing their wardrobe, a thick envelope tucked beneath folded sweaters. When she opened it, her breath caught. Cash. A lot of it. Far more than a dishwasher could earn in months. Her hands trembled. Was it debt? Dangerous work? Something illegal? She placed the envelope back exactly as she found it. She didn't ask. Not yet. She didn't want to break whatever fragile piece existed between them. But she couldn't lie to herself anymore. Something about her husband didn't add up. The day had been long. Too long. Ha-rin closed the cafe late, put on her earphones, and took the quiet alley she normally avoided. It was well lit that night. The air was cool, calm, harmless. She just wanted to breathe, to walk slowly, to go home to her gentle husband and his warm, simple smile. She didn't expect horror waiting around the bend. She didn't hear footsteps. She didn't hear breathing. She didn't hear anything, because the music in her ears drowned out the world. Then a shadow shifted in front of her. Her steps paused. And before she could react, a figure stepped directly into the narrow path. Her blood froze. It was Jun-seok, her ex, the man whose temper once cracked walls, whose jealousy bruised her mind, whose presence alone made her feel like oxygen did not belong to her. He hadn't changed. Tall, sharp jaw, muscles tense under a designer jacket, eyes dark and violent, the kind that held a promise of pain, not regret. He smirked, and it wasn't the smirk of someone who missed her. It was the smirk of a predator who finally found prey that had slipped away for too long. Ha-rin's heart hammered. She knew those eyes. She knew that stance. She knew that once he cornered you, the night became long and loud. He stepped closer. She stepped back, trembling. "Ha-rin," he said, voice low, cold, too calm for the rage he carried in his posture. "It's been a while." Her throat tightened. "Not here. Not him. Not this night." She removed her earphones slowly, her fingers shaking. What do you want?" His smile widened, a terrifying, familiar stretch of lips that never meant good. "What do you think I want? You walked out without permission. You think you can replace me with, what, a dishwasher?" He was inches from her now. His cologne hit her nose. Sharp, aggressive, the smell she spent years trying to forget. Her back touched the cold wall. Oh God, there was no one around. No pedestrians, no cars, no escape. Her heart pounded so loud it drowned out her thoughts. "Please leave," she whispered. He slammed his hand against the wall beside her head. She flinched, breath catching. "There are no cameras here, Ha-rin," he whispered darkly. "No witnesses, no one to interrupt me this time." Her knees weakened. She felt like a trapped animal, small, defenseless, breathless. A tear slid down her cheek, not because she was weak, but because she remembered nights she thought she wouldn't survive. He reached for her wrist. And that was the moment the world shifted. Not slowly, not gradually. Instantly. A black, high-end SUV tore into the alley with a screech, stopping so sharply that the air itself seemed to jolt. Before Ha-rin could even process what was happening, 4 men in dark suits jumped out. Silent, efficient, moving with the precision of trained operatives. They positioned themselves instantly, forming a protective arc around her. Her ex froze mid-motion. Arms still half extended, but Ha-rin's eyes were fixed on the backseat door. It opened slowly and Min-jae stepped out. Not her husband in his soft sweaters, not the dishwasher with shy smiles and gentle hands. This Min-jae was different. Black tailored suit, gloves, expression calm but utterly unreadable. Presence heavy, commanding, like the alley itself bowed to him. He didn't run, he didn't shout, he didn't rush like a panicked husband. He walked, slow, deliberate, dangerous. A man who knew exactly what he was capable of. A man who didn't need to prove anything with noise. His men stepped aside for him. Ha-rin didn't breathe. Her husband, her quiet, gentle Min-jae, stood in front of her ex with the stillness of a storm seconds before it breaks. Jun-seok tried to speak. "This is between me and her." Min-jae didn't let him finish. His hand moved, fast, precise. He grabbed Jun-seok's wrist before it could reach Ha-rin's skin, twisting it with a controlled force that made Jun-seok gasp in pain. Not loud, but sharp, involuntary. And like a flash of light, he sent him tumbling down. Min-jae's voice was calm. Too calm. "You don't touch my wife, bastard," he snarled. Ha-rin felt heat rise to her face. Not fear, not confusion. Shock. Because the man in front of her was not the gentle soul she married. He was someone else. Someone powerful enough to command a convoy and many guards. Someone dangerous enough to freeze a violent man like her ex with a single look. Someone who moved with the confidence of a leader, not a dishwasher. No, this wasn't the dishwasher. Jun-seok tried to pull back. His eyes widened, but Min-jae didn't budge. He leaned in, voice low, not threatening, but absolute and commanding. "I will give you a chance at life, run away, and never should I hear of you coming around her." Jun-seok's breath faltered. Fear, not confusion, filled his eyes. He jerked away and stumbled back. Then, like the coward he truly was, he ran immediately. Ran without turning. The alley fell silent, only the slow hum of the powerful engines filled the air. Ha-rin stood trembling, not from fear of Min-jae, but from the realization that she had no idea who she married. No, she didn't. Should she avoid this man, or should she cling to her silent savior? Thoughts ran through her mind. Min-jae finally turned to her and instantly, all the danger drained from his eyes. His voice softened. Ha-rin, he stepped closer. Are you hurt? She shook her head faintly. Min-jae. What? What was that? His jaw tightened. I didn't want you to find out this way. Her heart thudded. Find out what? He exhaled slowly, as if this secret had been crushing him for years, that I'm not a dishwasher. He looked at his men, then back at her. I'm the one they protect, I'm the one they follow. I'm the one your ex should have feared from the beginning. He took her hand gently, so gently it almost broke her heart. Ha-rin, I'm the head of Hor-young. There is more to this than I can just tell you here. He replied, I am still the man you know. I tried to leave my past so I could be the man you deserved. Her breath left her body. The gentleman she married was the city's most powerful shadow, and tonight was only the beginning of the truth. Min-jae had brought her home, tucked her into bed, and sat with her until her shaking stopped. He didn't touch her beyond holding her hand. He didn't speak unless she asked him something small, and he didn't explain anything else. Not who those men were, not why he had a convoy, not what Jin-seok meant when he said she was in danger. He just watched over her quietly. The same gentleman she married, except now surrounded by shadows she couldn't identify. By sunrise, he was gone. He returned at noon, acting like nothing had happened. Did you eat? He asked softly as he set groceries on the table. Ha-rin stared at him, not in fear but in shock. Min-jae, where did you go? He looked at her for a long moment. His expression wasn't cold or evasive, it was protective. I handled a few things. You don't need to worry. Then he added, I won't let him come near you again. The memory of Jun-seok's hand slamming the wall beside her face flashed through her mind. The cold alley, the helplessness, the SUV. Her husband stepping out like a man carved from authority. She swallowed. I didn't know you had people. I didn't want to involve them, he said. That was all he offered. Not lies, not excuses. Just a boundary. And somehow that made her trust him a little more. 3 days passed. Min-jae acted normal, maybe too normal. He cooked, he cleaned, he kissed her goodnight as if nothing unusual had happened. But Ha-rin noticed things more sharply now. He had 2 phones. He received messages at strange hours. He kept disappearing into the stairwell to take calls. And she realized something else. He never walked out the door unaccompanied anymore. There was always a man across the street, another by the convenience store, another leaning on a motorcycle like he lived there, all watching, all silent. All too respectful of Min-jae to look her in the eyes. Her dishwasher husband had a world that didn't fit inside their tiny apartment. Then came the landlord, a short man with a loud mouth and a hatred for anyone who was a month late on rent. He stormed upstairs that afternoon, banging on their door like a debt collector in a crime film. Ha-rin opened it. You people think I'm running charity? He barked. The lease is over today. Either renew or get out. She blinked, confused. We still have 2 months left. Not anymore. He waved a paper at her. New building owner, new rules, renew today or pack and leave. Before she could protest, he added a mocking laugh. And don't act surprised. I know your husband's job. Dishwashers don't pay rent on time. That stung more than she expected. Ha-rin tried to speak calmly. We'll sort it out when he comes back. No, the landlord snapped. You pay now, or you go now. Choose. His voice rose. His finger jabbed inches from her face. He didn't care that she was trembling. He needed someone to bully, and she was convenient. She felt tears burning behind her eyes. Not because of the rent, but because she was tired. Tired of hiding fear. Tired of pretending everything was normal. She closed the door and sat on the floor. She cried silently. Not loud, not dramatic, just the quiet ache of a woman who felt her life shifting into something she didn't recognize. An hour later, the door opened. Min-jae stepped in and froze. He saw her red eyes, her shaking hands, the eviction notice on the floor. His jaw tightened, not with anger at her, but with a fury he kept buried beneath that gentle exterior. He knelt in front of her immediately. What happened? She held the paper out with trembling fingers. The landlord said we have to leave today, she sobbed. He shouted at you? Yes. Min-jae was silent for exactly 2 seconds. Then he stood, pulled out his phone and said one sentence, bring a car. Now. And that was the moment Ha-rin realized the man she married wasn't just gentle, he was dangerous, silent, and furious. Min-jae made one phone call, just one, and whatever is coming next, it isn't mercy. If you're hooked already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who loves powerful drama. And now tell me in the comments, what do you think Min-jae, the man who hides a mafia empire behind quiet eyes, is about to do to the landlord who threatened his wife? Your prediction might decide how the next episode unfolds. Drop your thoughts below.